All right, so today on Pirates of the Podcast, we're here with Hunter from Hidden Forest Farms. He's up there in Maine. He does some incredible outdoor work. I think he has a little bit of indoor stuff going on as well. I think he works with some other growers as well on the hash stuff. And he runs the Culture Cup, which is, in my opinion, the best contest of the year, and very happy to be a part of it. Welcome, Hunter.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. Definitely appreciate it and excited to chat.
Cool. So we start off just on the grow side of things, and we move on to the hashing, and then after we're done with that, we'll talk a little bit about just some life stuff in the Culture Cup. So to start off, we go with grower source, and I know you grow your own, and then do you toll process or process for other people as well?
Yeah, we do some toll processing for a few people. We don't have like a huge capacity to do so, so it's not for like a large amount of different people, but we try to work with a couple homies.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I've seen some companies that I like up there putting out work with you.
But yeah.
Next, we talk about what sort of stuff you grow in. So I know outdoor. I really want to get into that. I've seen some amazing work by you. Just real quick, I'd like to touch on if you do a little bit of indoor, and if you're doing soil or cocoa in there, and just a little bit about what that setup looks like from the soil perspective.
So we have our mom room, which is our biggest room that we dedicate lights to, and then we have like a little nursery and like a four lighter indoor room. We could probably fit six lights in there. So most of like the flowering side of things is like a sporadic and not even necessarily constant. So we don't have beds in there. I am in soil. I usually just like for potted plants use like a pro mix or like a peat moss base that I add castings to and some sort of aggregate source or whatever depending on what I'm doing with it. So a lot of times I'm doing kind of like a super soil approach with moms just to keep it really easy with some foliar feeds and some IPM stuff, but I try to keep it really simple and easy, and if I need to up pot a plant, I up pot a plant, and yeah, just try to make it super super easy for myself.
Cool. What size pots do you keep your bigger moms in, and about how big do they get?
So I do 7 gallon pots, 5 to 7 gallon pots. I use a pretty souped up mix, so it's pretty heavily amended, and I'm usually putting like a half a gallon pot from my nursery into like a 5 or a 7, and that'll last me a long time without having to use liquid feeds, especially if I'm doing foliar feeds. So right now I'm on like 10 weeks in the 5 gallon pots with my mom's, I think right now, about 10 weeks, and I cut them back like twice already pretty dramatically, and they've grown back from that, and I still haven't fed liquids. So as definitely a super soil for sure. um and I try to reset moms, like even if I'm not going to use the clone and actually reset the mom, I try to take clones a lot and just make sure that there's just a lot of good options to take a super, juicy, healthy clone to reset the mom at like all times. Especially if I'm cutting stuff back, I'll just clone a lot of stuff and always have that kind of options. I'm kind of getting there. I'm probably like 3 times or 4 times a year I'll reset the moms.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your outdoor soil. So I'd just like to mention Straw Grease Willie is a cut I selected a bunch of years back, actually, for flower. It eventually made its way into hash and made its way into a bunch of people's hands because it does pretty well outdoor, has good terps and stuff. And you were one of the people to run that. And what I tend to see on that is that in salts it brings out a little bit more of the strawberry flavor, and then when it's in soil, sometimes it can bring out a little bit more of the funk. And I actually tend to prefer the strawberry flavor. But I recently had a jar from you, and it was like the best strawberry flavor that I've had from Straw Grease, and I believe that was from your outdoor. So I'd love to hear, just kind of what your approach is. I know you've been making your own soil some, and so yeah, we'll let you take it from there.
Hell yeah. The Strawberries Willie, we've done a lot of outdoor testing with different plants from seed and from clone. And out of the 8 years we've farmed here in Maine, I think it's probably like the most resistant plant I've ever seen grown here, which is saying something because that's like obviously a huge factor for us is finding strains that are extremely resilient. So definitely the best plant I've probably grown as far as just not having to do anything to it and it just kind of does its thing and it's one of the best plants in the fucking garden. So it's dope. Yeah, it definitely it's my first time growing it and it had like that ripened strawberry terp like the whole time. So kind of already knew it was going to be pretty fire pretty much right away. And the soil system that it's growing in is Hugel Trench. So we had pretty rocky clay like soil without any organic matter. So we went with the method of Hugel culture um, for a lot of our gardens, especially our vegetable gardens and everything at first, just to build up on top of the soil we didn't really think we had and bring some carbon into that soil and some organic matter into that soil so we could use cover crops and animals and kind of like actually regenerate the property that we're on. And to kind of jumpstart things on the cannabis side, we went with hugel trenches, which is like a little different than your average hugel culture, which is just building up directly on top of the surface of the soil. This we dug these trenches.
So is it basically just like building up a hugel, but rather than mounding it up, you're creating a space to put it down into?
Yeah, totally. So they end up looking like raised like mounds, you know, like not a like a raised mound bed where it's like a foot or two up above the soil level. So um a lot of fucking volume for roots to work its way through, which definitely allows us to grow massive fucking plants. So I'm glad we did that because we do utilize a plant count law here for our caregiver licensing, and a lot of people are using the square footage laws, but for us it actually helps us to use the plant count with how long of a veg we have and the fact that we're not pulling tarps and doing depths. So we're able to fill a 12 by 60 hoop with 6 plants. So we actually grew 9 of the straw grease willy with its structure being a little shorter and squatter. And yeah, that soil system has worked great. You know, the hugels definitely are always changing, which is like a challenge, I'd say, with it. The one other thing I would say about hugels is with it being like one of its main benefits being holding on to water. In Maine, you know, we have a whole lot of water. So it's good to think about what kind of techniques you're using with like the amount of water you get. I think at first we just kind of got stoked on like the other aspects of hugelculture and kind of didn't think about that. And I definitely think I would enjoy my raised beds a little better, to be honest with you, but they've ended up doing extremely well for us still. But yeah, it's just tough if you have a year that's like super wet. It can be just weird. You just never water your garden, you know, so you don't have opportunities to like you know, do any type of liquid feeds or anything like that because you don't want to add you know, more water. So
Sure. So speaking on that, that's how do you go about kind of testing, seeing what the plants need? I think you have a really rational approach that's not too dogmatic, just from my understanding, and that you're just looking to keep really healthy plants and just kind of adding what they need and not staying away from things just because of a certain thought process.
yeah.
So I'd like to hear about that.
So, you know, we have like the Dragonfly Earth Medicine certification, which is definitely a very naturalistic approach, and we definitely align with those core values. Our we really only produce a product that gets to anyone at least through this one full term harvest. So obviously we are really considering and thinking about the sustainability of the industry and trying to make things a little more sustainable as far as production goes for cannabis. So that is something that has aligned with the decisions that we have made, like surrounding cannabis as well. But as far as like our approach with nutrition and stuff, we do have a little more, we kind of do our own thing, data driven. So we do a lot of soil testing and a lot of plant sap testing and plant tissue testing, and just have been working with different kinds of agronomists and soil scientists to really correlate all that data that we've been collecting. So, we have like 6 years of soil tests and sap tests and tissue tests of all these different strains that we've grown. And going back to what you're saying, just trying to grow healthy plants, you just want adequate nutrition that's always going to be available at the right time. So a lot of that is like you learn things round to round with different strains and be like, okay, wow, I got way more yield from this as far as biomass goes without any quality drop. Obviously you missed something the round before. And when you can look back and see a tissue test of the leaf in around week 3, and you're low on phosphorus and calcium, okay, well, I can respond to that with that strain the next year. Data is like huge for us, and we try to collect as much soil data and as much plant data as we can just to be able to become better. Obviously we have one shot a year, so we got to learn and change. I can't make these simple mistakes twice. And so we're a big we're kind of more so focused right now on like soil chemistry and plant nutrition, and that aspect and biology was kind of what got us into the whole thing. So we've slowly just been trying to become more educated on those kind of aspects, which seem to have a really dramatic effect on the end product and how well you do as a company.
That's awesome. So, what do you find to be the most effective and useful data set between the three sources of soil testing, leaf testing, and sap testing?
So there's like a comprehensive soil test from Logan Labs. We'll use them because that's who we've been using. There's a saturated paste test, and then there's like your basic chemical analysis of what is in the soil. And what's cool about those two things is you can see how something could be locked out because you would have it in the soil, but it wouldn't be available in the saturated paste test. So those two soil tests are always correlated, and we're looking for specific target numbers with those test results. We work with the soil doctor, Bryant. He's been great with the soil chemistry side of things. So we've been working with him to try to correlate like what would be causing, a lockout, and it is, and then being like, oh, I have high sodium, and, working with the chemistry to try to keep things balanced, is really key, obviously. As far as, how much nitrate and how much calcium and X, Y, and Z that you need for your system, it's really going to take you to figure that out. And that's the thing with the soil scientist and the soil agronomist, is they aren't always growing herb, like how we are. So applying that knowledge, there's been like a little bit of a learning curve there, and we have our own uh you know pounds per acre, let's call it, for us, of different kinds of nutrients that we want to add. So we've had to kind of use that data and kind of figure out how to use it really, really well. So that's a cool little thing. Just looking at the saturated paste test is really the most important soil test. And then from there, you have sap tests that are, you take samples from the bottom of the plant and the top of the plant, and you get to see how nutrients are moving around, which is really cool. And tissue tests are probably the most accurate, like current time reflection of your plant's nutrition. So that's also really cool because it's hard to respond to a soil analysis in the middle of a run and really catch up with stuff. So being able to use tissue testing to all different strains and, at vital developmental times would allow you to, react with a potential liquid version of that plant for that plant to really get to the roots immediately. So all those things kind of come together, and we've been guided through a lot of these steps through soil scientists like Bryant, and then just kind of working back with our real-time results and data and trying to like figure out the middle ground there.
Sure. Cool. That's I'm starting to get just a little bit of weirdness in my beds right now, and so
Mhm.
far up until this point they've absolutely crushed. I think it's in the water because I'm seeing it just a little bit in new soil, small plants, seedlings and stuff as well. So I just sent out a crazy water test, but I'm about to start going through all the soil tests and stuff as well because so far I just haven't been doing that. So it's great information to hear. And let's see what's come for soil inputs like organic ones. How do you go about sourcing those, like any sort of compost, wood chips, anything like that, and making sure that they're not bringing in additional issues with them?
So for us, we're always trying to get it off the property. We do make a good amount of compost, from our own waste materials here. So, but we do bring in compost from offsite. Every year we work with Benson Family Farms here in Maine. They're a MAFCA certified company. Everything seems to work out well, besides a couple minor things as far as the aesthetics, I'd say, of things. But as far as the test results and the plant effect, it's pretty much the best price, most dialed in stuff you could use that would actually provide, some sort of nutrient to the actual crop, which I think is like big difference from that and compost tea pile that you would keep, and make, and the whole like Elaine Ingham soil food web compost piles and all that. If you would get a compost analysis of that, it would have a very high carbon, count versus a nitrate. So it would just never really provide any nutrients, and it's essentially like inoculated wood chips that are halfway, there. So, knowing the difference between the two, because for me, I want to bring in plant food. I can build microbes myself through cover cropping and mulching and my own, animal, manure, goat, chicken manure and stuff like that. But when I'm bringing in compost, I want like a certain amount of nitrate per acre so I could actually use it to feed plants versus using, other expensive fertilizers. So I'm always looking for soil test or for the compost analysis test results for most of these places. And, some of the headiest compost makers, they have no nutrient availability in that. So, that's just very limited to me. And so we're looking for a specific kind of compost for that. And like the wood chips and everything we get from our own property for the most part as well. But as far as like bringing in a pathogen to your farm, it's like chances are pretty high. It's honestly, it's very risky bringing anything, especially for like the indoor guys. That's where it's like even fucking crazier. I have
Agree.
a fucking winter time that kills most things, and just, yeah. So the whole indoor thing is definitely sketchy, and I've seen people do cover crops, get an infestation of whatever pest, have to take the whole cover crop out, and kind of learn that lesson. And then like I've also seen like the heavy carbon wood chip or straw mulches have problems as well. Um, it seems just really tricky, the whole living soil indoors seems very, very tricky. I know there's a few people who are doing it extremely well, and I think it goes to show that they're pretty fucking good at it, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. The longer that I've been running it, the more that I'm just learning that like indoor beds. I mean, maybe if you have a super sterile room that you can clean, they're on the racks where you can roll them side to side and get under them. But like, especially for your hobby grower, your novice grower, your like your single source guy that's just kind of doing it out of their own place, and you can't move those beds around and you can't fucking clean as well. Like, it can turn into a nightmare for sure.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
all right. So, is there anything that you're specifically doing? Because you're just growing for hash, right? You're not doing flour.
No, we don't really do the outdoor flower thing for sale, at least occasionally we dry some stuff for us to smoke on, but we're just dedicated to the hash thing.
Cool. Me as well.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you do specifically, either in the way that you prep the plants before or during the first couple weeks of flower, or just any sort of inputs or anything else that you think that you do that's specific for helping them for hash making?
Yeah, I'm not a huge like tech guy or, this makes a huge difference and I know because of this or, I kind of just really want the plants to be happy and healthy because I know that's like how they're going to express themselves the best. Also with like the outdoor, for me, it's like I need things to be like my goal is to keep every single plant perfectly happy, and any leaf that gets pulled needs to not be like stripping, like, little pieces of the plant off. I can't create wounds. Like, I have to do a lot of things very carefully with my IPM approach, which is things you learn like year to year of to have a healthy plant at the end of the season here. And so that's like something that I don't think everyone has a lot of experience with is like finishing plants for hash in the area that I do it in is like it's just specific. So you need to run a lot of different stuff for a lot of years in a row and find plants that do good and not just do good, but are like better than the indoor version is the goal. So, best hash you can possibly put forward is always the goal. And, you go through 30, 40 different strains a year for 4 or 5 years, you do find a handful of strains that do shine truly in this zone the way we're growing it. And that's kind of the game is like getting through a bunch of plants. So similar to pheno hunting, the same approach, basically the same mindset, even with clones. It's like, okay, cool, fuck it, let's run gelato. Fucking run every single clone that we can get our hands on outside. We basically have tried to do that. That way we're pulling from stuff that is a good diversity to pull from with like a bunch of different strains, but also strains that we know do decent or at least make really good hash even if they're hard to grow. I'd say just really focusing on the plant health and focusing on the farming aspect of it is definitely our number one technique to make the hash good. I guess that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. I don't think I do anything that crazy different with prep. We use an osprey. It's like I have been washing hash for a minute, so I think some people just didn't learn the way we all learned, which was like a couple people were doing it and we saw a YouTube video and tried it with our own material and shit. Like, not everyone has had that kind of intro into it. And like for me, that's what happened to me is like I saw fucking Bubble Man and like fuck, what's his name, dude? Matt Rise, and shit. And was like, oh, I have weed that I'm selling. Let me take a couple zips of it and wash some hash outside in the snow. And that's how I got into it. And like it made good hash. I got super lucky, obviously, but it like was like at the time, like I was super pumped on it. I had no standards at that time in my life, but I was super pumped. And I think we just understand things need to be cold and clean. It's like it's not that fucking crazy, you need to have the right conditions to work with that kind of resin. And aside from some other basic things, you're basically in there, especially with like an osprey setup in like a cold room. It's pretty much just running an SOP right now.
Cool. Um, yeah, that's we definitely my first couple introductions to hash were very janky things. Was just like throwing bags tied up at the top, like they didn't even make their own kind of wash and wrapped all of them together and just like took the stuff that was between the screens. I'm sure so much of it was out in the water, but they made like a bundle with like the 220 bag and the other ones wrapped over it, and then threw that in a fucking washing machine, a regular ass washing machine, just let it run with ice water in it. So, but
Fucking
yeah,
amazing.
yep. So, and then from there, eventually like some of the brown sticky hash and stuff, and then eventually rosin, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, So, speaking of rosin, the other stuff that I tried from you not too recently was the banana papaya Z, that Electric City. If I can shout out the PA homies, they're right down
Yeah.
by me. So, Electric City, they selected the banana papaya Z Cube Cross and have won multiple things with it. Tried it from them, tried it from you. Both were great. And I believe that you created that. And I think that you're doing some kind of private, cool breeding projects with some really good looking crosses. So would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So decided we should just chuck some pollen and stop like, just talking about it and realizing it's just kind of like for fun. And so we decided we were going to use we were going to hunt a Z cube, a couple of the Z cube packs from Dying Breed, and we spent a good amount of money on those packs, and they didn't really do that hot for us. But we did find a really good male, and we were pissed. We were super pissed. That's what we found. But we ended up keeping it around, kept it alive, and then grew it out and collected pollen, and then decided just to put a little pollen on a branch of all of the strains that we grew. That's like the extent of the breeding project from the BPPZ. So, it was like an unexpected thing, and it was like 3 years. No, it was like 2 years before I gave the seeds to Jay from Electric City. So he was just like new in the game and super passionate, and I just liked his energy a lot. And I was giving him some clones to run, especially being from Pennsylvania. Obviously, I'm always fucking rooting for the PA boys. So I was like, hey, you should run these seeds, and like he was actually so stoked that we made the seeds, and like I was kind of like, what am I going to do with these things? So I didn't even grow them myself. And I gave them to Jay, and he was like, these are pretty fucking good, dude. And like, I mean, I know Jay isn't some fucking idiot, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, that's a good sign. We'll see though, and me being me, I was like, we'll see about that. We'll see if it's actually really good. And um it was pretty fucking fire. I didn't expect it to do what it did, but like it made sense, it did really well. And um he gave me the clone, and it's an improvement on the mom, which is really cool, and to see in an F1, that wasn't really on purpose. So it showed some pretty good promise, and the rest of the crosses we have going right now are looking really, really good. So, you know, sometimes you get lucky, but we'll see. There's some F2s, I think, getting popped by him soon as well. Um, and yeah,
Before we get to getting into the hashing, I just have one more question about your processes and all that stuff down there. So this year was my first year dealing with septoria. And I had to deal with that a little bit indoors, which wasn't fun because of what we were talking about, is that
yeah.
beds can just fucking harbor so much. It's really hard indoor. So you said that you have dealt with that a little bit and you've done some methods to mitigate it on your farm. So could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I could talk for days about this shit, honestly. Yeah, we like got blindsided by it like 4 years ago. I mean, not anything crazy as far as like affecting like, the yield too much for the year or anything, but certain strains were just getting fucking toasted, and we're just like, whoa, like what the fuck is this? Started talking to some people, figured out that it's leaf septoria, and then each year it seemed to kind of creep in a little bit more and more. And at the time, the style that we were kind of keeping our beds and everything was like a jungle, like taking plant diversity to the next level, past beneficial. We just had fucking everything growing with everything everywhere. Like our beds had shit tons of grass and fucking all different types of species of cover crops growing through it. And we had to really constantly be like working on like keeping that organic matter down. So we were chopping and dropping. We essentially created an unhealthy compost pile like on top of our soil. And we had a lot too much greens chopped up and decomposing. And it just was like a breeding ground for anything that decided to find its way there. So we brought in straw from off site and got leaf septoria like fucking pretty much immediately. So it's in the air, it's around, it's on other crops and other plants everywhere. So it's just like something that we've had to just become accustomed to like dealing with to some level. So there's obviously like not growing the strains that get it bad. That's like the best thing you can do first. But something that we had to get into is terminating our cover crop right around a trigger into flower and going from like a pretty wild, lush green like landscape to wood chips everywhere and like heavy, heavy mulching. That helped for sure. We also have brought in some vital IPM preventative sprays that in my opinion have made all the difference. The Phyloscape mineral foliar is a nutrient foliar, but it's also compatible and recommended with regalia. So I don't know if people have, I'm sure people have heard of that. That was something that we weren't using. And when we started using it, it helped dramatically. So we're like, okay, that's really cool. And another thing that really needs to go down is like constant pruning and de-leafing so that all of those leaves closer to the soil level are regenerating new leaves constantly, because that's definitely the culprit right there for where it kind of starts the worst. But it's definitely a collective effort on a lot of different fronts, really just like trying to eliminate the best environment for that kind of thing to thrive, and also having a prevent that you really need to prevent it. Like if it's something that you're going to see year to year, like now you need a prevention plan. And a lot of people this year in Maine didn't have any preventative spraying or just like game plans like with mulching or anything like that, and I saw fields just get completely fried.
Yeah, that's I didn't have the best luck with the potassium bicarbonate, or yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the sulfur helped as well. Even still, I saw like if I didn't combine it with the cease myself personally, that made a big difference as well.
Oh yeah, cease. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So cease and regalia for us were two things, and that nutrient foliar, because obviously using nutrition on top of your soil nutrition just to cover your ass in all aspects of every single nutrient is it's a pretty dramatic effect on people's farms when they start to use that product.
Cool. And you said that was Phylos?
Phyloscape mineral foliar, so it's essentially a fulvic acid and some other organic goodies with a bunch of other nutrients. So it's made by Soilscape Solutions. That dude knows what he's fucking doing. Sam from Soilscape Solutions for sure knows his shit. He's the type of dude that's like he's selling you products, but he's like, I've grown fucking metric tons of fresh frozen like this. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh shit. And he's like, has farms everywhere using his whole fucking SOP basically. So that's someone honestly in the industry that like has kind of been there, done that, and has seen a lot. And he's a really good person to talk to and check out some of his products. Unfortunately, he's from California. I tell him all the time I don't know why he lives there, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that he's doing good work, even though it's out on the left coast. um, so one more time, also, could you give a shout out to the compost company that you like to source from?
We're using Benson Family Farms. I believe they're out of Portland or South Portland, Maine. They're a MOFGA certified compost with really good soil test analysis that's done by the soil doctor. And it's always got the right carbon to nitrogen ratio. It always has available nitrate, and you know, it's basically lobster compost and dairy products, so like dairy farm manure and stuff like that. Yeah.
Uh, So that takes us all the way through all of our kind of approach at the getting the plant to finish. And then if you want to talk a little bit about your takedown for fresh frozen
Yeah.
from outdoor.
Yeah, I think like there's a couple different approaches that I've seen. Both are pretty extreme. I think it's all about like one, how much fresh frozen are you taking down at one time and stuff like that. Obviously, if it's like a really small home grow from your indoor, you can fucking do whatever you want, as long it could take forever, you could still do it. For us, we're like kind of hustling against the season. So the goal for us is to not cut too much into leaf, obviously, where it could bleed the chlorophyll into the water, but also at the same time, um, I don't want to extract stuff that doesn't have hash on it. So for us it's like a middle ground where it's like, you'll hear people be like, if you cut any leaf, like your shit's not gonna be good. And it's like, I'm you know sitting here as like, especially with like the melt guys, right? They'll be like, you're fucked. Like, if it's sucked together at all, like, and not loose like this, you already lost. And then I'm like sitting there pulling like 200 grams of full melt, there's people
Yeah.
that are like, if you don't use ice extract 90U, your shit's off. And I'm like, I don't know, man. These Rosin Evolution bags are like $300 a set, and I'm pulling 90U out of them, and it's looking pretty good. So
Fuck yeah. Shout out Rosin Evolution for the
yeah,
super high
shout out.
quality for the fucking, especially for the price bags. Yeah. They're fucking great. Like that's I have mesh extract, I have ice extract, I have
Yep.
fucking other brands up there, dude. Every single time I just go back to the Rosin Evos.
They don't fucking break, dude. All the other ones break. And so yeah, they do a really good job. Their customer service is good too. Definitely shout out Rosin Evolution.
Yeah,
Um
I'll talk about them real quick.
yeah.
They dropped a new bag, and something that I really fucking like is that all these other bags have canvas up top. They're not really sealed in well. Like
Mhm.
it's not fucking great for dealing with a oily, sticky, trichome.
Right.
They put a non-water absorbing, like just super well thought out material on there that seems like some sort of like a silicone plastic hybrid type thing that doesn't take in water. It's super light and doesn't seem like a giant pain in the ass like the other non-full mesh
Sick.
bags.
I
Yeah.
gotta try that. I gotta try them for sure.
Yeah, I think they're just sending them out to people as testers right now. I don't know if they have them on the market or not, but I'm fucking,
Yeah.
especially for my bigger bags. I like it to like my 140, 150, 160, whatever they are. I
Mhm.
like the sidewall so it pushes it down through the center as it's draining.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They're definitely the fucking go-to for me.
Cool. Okay, so we have some takedown. And then you're just working with some homies, so you're not accepting bricked up, horribly
Right.
prepped, fresh frozen, which is
My
nice and
my
awesome.
shit is worse prepped than anyone else's I work with, because I literally have like, I have to stuff the freezers, you know what I mean? But I'm also washing it in like 48 hours after it's frozen. So
Yeah, fire. Okay, so are you processing in a cold room or are you using the cold of winter?
we are in a cold room. So we have a reefer unit, oversized for our small area, and it cranks.
Nice. So you went with an actual reefer unit versus the
Cool bot.
cool bot.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Good.
did. We figured that that was probably the way to go at the time, and I'm glad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I much prefer those if I can have them over a cool bot setup. Um, so let's see. And you machine wash in the big boy Osprey.
Yep.
Really like low temp. They're a great fucking company. Really high quality products.
Hmm.
Um, would you like to talk about any sort of like the RPMs or load sizes you go through?
Yeah, so we do for our outdoor, we do a pretty long soak, and then it's hardly considered a hand paddle. It's probably just like I basically just kind of dunk everything again real quick, and then we drain, and that's trying to combat any dirt or debris that could be on the harvested herb. So that helps a lot with cleanliness of the melt, obviously, as well. And then that that first agitation, it's like the second pull, I guess, is when we collect the 90U.
Mhm.
And that's usually just to see if it really is of a grade that I would want to keep as that, basically. Usually it just gets tossed back in with everything else. If it is something that I really like a lot, I might keep, however many grams of the half a pound or whatever, because we're usually washing like 16 to 18,000 grams.
It's a nice load size in the big boy Osprey for it still coming out quality. I know you can pack them a little bit more full than that, but
Yeah,
it's a it's a good one.
they definitely have a really nice. The OG Osprey is the one that we're using, and it's just easy to clean and keep and operate. So for us, it was like it took a while for us to be able to like upgrade to stainless steel. Obviously, it's a big, jump in price there, especially for us just doing really single source. At that time, we weren't really washing for other people much, so it took a few years of savings to be able to get there. But it's so much fucking easier and so much faster for us to get through our whole farm's worth of stuff. So
Yeah,
that's been
they're definitely pricey. I remember when stuff first started coming out, like I think it was maybe the ice extract, the icons or whatever that were one of the first ones.
yeah,
It's like, man, I can't pay 38 grand for fucking whatever it
dude.
was.
Especially for like not better hash, right? So like
Yeah,
that's all I give a fuck about, dude. I'm like sitting there watching everything in fucking the bubble magic. So I was like, if this machine isn't gonna make my hash better and I have to spend $40,000, like it just took a lot for us to be able to fucking justify it, honestly. But I'm so happy we did. It's totally fucking worth it and opened us to be able to process for other people, which is very lucrative.
yeah, toll processing is a good
Yeah,
thing. I definitely have had some of my nicest melt batches come out of a 20-gallon bubble magic. So for fucking sure, it's
dude.
all about the
Yep.
the material, the prep, and everything like that
Yep.
is way more important. Um,
Absolutely.
and then I see some of these. I don't know if you see some of the systems that are out there that are super, super insanely expensive, but there's like
Oh yeah.
180 to fucking $500,000 type setups that are really around the same size as the Osprey, or sometimes even smaller.
Yeah. There's some crazy shit out there, dude. I mean,
It's so fucking crazy to me. It's just like, bro, you want $150,000 to drain 80 gallons? It's wow.
dude, yeah, the people in the beer industry are like, oh my God, wait till they see all this other shit we can sell them. You know what I mean? Like they've just been down the ringer, like so much fucking money in stainless steel in like these like breweries that have their like whole system open for you to view and stuff. I was like looking at it and I was like, yo, this dude just spent so much fucking money on stainless.
Right, right. I feel like the brewery is a little bit better whether or not green taxing quite as bad, but
Right.
there's no fucking getting around like certain finishes of stainless, certain quality of stainless, and it just costs a fucking lot.
Yeah, I literally like it was at Maine Beer Co. And I was like at the bar and I was like looking into the viewing area and I was like, what's that? Like that's gotta be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he was like, try fucking $2 million, bro. I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, wow, my Osprey ain't shit compared to this fucking facility. Fuck.
Seriously. All right. So we went over bags, watches, scoops, all that stuff. Hey, do you have? Because this is something that I don't see very often. I know there's like one or two companies that make them. What do you like to scoop with? Spoon? Anything special?
I like the spoon. I like the stainless steel spoons. You can kind of bend the like neck a tiny little bit to have a better angle. That's what I'm using right now. I've seen some like silicone looking spoons and stuff that look pretty cool. Seems like everyone kind of has experimented a little bit. I forget who I saw with it. Yeah, so ours has like it was a stainless steel large spoon that doesn't have like a handle or anything on it, so it's easy to keep clean and all that. And that's what we go with. It's just pretty big, so it's good if you're pulling out fat fucking scoops. You can fill up a tray fast.
Oh yeah. And harvest wrongs. Are you only currently running harvest right?
Yeah, well, we got our good investment in already with them, so it's like you kind of want to just work with them a little bit and we've definitely worked with them a lot. Like we have four of them, and we've only this past season we're only able to use two of them. And we just recently on those two where I was like, dude, fuck these people. I'm so pissed. I can't even speak with one of these, representatives again ever. And I'm so over it. And Matt, my business partner, is way better with that shit. And he went through the full diagnostics with it again. And then we were able to find out that it was a leak. And then we were able to find out that it was the fucking hose, the drain hose. So I was just like, wow, like, dude, we went through we fixed like every single part on that machine, and then it was a fucking drain hose. You know what I mean? So it's like really annoying, but right now we have actually successfully fixed them, and we got to tier 3, they called it, which was like if you have four or more of them, they basically just are way more accessible and helpful.
Cool.
So
Uh,
ask for tier 2 or tier 3 help.
cool. That's awesome. Very fucking helpful. I feel that on you've already made the investment and stuff because I'm working with a lab up in New York and kind of running it for them right now. And I got to order a Stay Fresh for that, which is so much fucking better built
Dude,
than a Harvest Rate.
I
But
can't wait to get some of those.
yeah, like even on the drain, right? So the harvest rate drain is just kind of this flimsy thing and seems like it would be really easy to leak and everything. So you're just grabbing a hose and twisting this little nozzle on and stuff. And the intake as well as the output are the exact same spot. On the Stay Fresh, dude, it's a fucking fixed stainless tube that comes all the way out to the end to where you turn the valve. And it has a separate fucking intake for the air so you can never pull water back up and in.
That's so sick.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta fix these up so that they work and then sell them for like half price or some shit to someone.
Right, that's so like I have a medium that I run in my home lab that's just it's flush mounted into the cold room, which I really enjoy. But that thing I have to run with the panels off and a fan aimed at it.
Dude, yeah,
It
I have
looks
one that I have to have the panels off of too. It sucks, dude. Honestly though, like I got two of them I got used from randos, and those are way better than the two new ones. The one has never worked. Has never been able to get it to work. It's brand new. So
yeah, that's I also bought a large back in the day when I just had some more money because I was doing more running around and growing. So I scooped up an extra large when they joined the Good Life gang and he gave me a little bit of a deal on it. So it's like even my backup is a brand new fucking harvest rate that I just don't want to run.
yeah,
But
yeah.
cool. Let's see what else we
Old
got.
Harvest Strongs.
Did you see the Hashiko software for them?
I saw him talking about it at Ego Clash, and I didn't know who the fuck the dude was at the time.
Yes.
And
So
then I read about it, so I kind of missed my opportunity to talk to him. But
yeah, sorry, I was cutting in there a little bit. Um, but yeah, I follow that guy on LinkedIn. And he posts a lot about their software and stuff on there. They just made it for the Hall and Green Sciences as well. They don't have it for the Stay Fresh or Blue Alpine yet, but I'm I need to get that. I don't know why I haven't yet, but that it gives you alerts. So like not achieving vacuum, fucking shelf temp, blah 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 blah, and let you know when your batch is done. So
that's
seems yeah, it seems really helpful in that aspect because that's I know people that have like baby monitors set up with a video on their
dude.
like
It sucks, bro.
yeah, they're the worst.
They really are. I don't think that they knew what was going to happen in their defense, but now hash people use their shit. They got to get with the times.
Come on now, Mormons.
Yeah, it's like, listen, you're taking the hash money now, so you got to help us fix these fucking things.
All right, let's see. And then pressing. What sort of press you like to press on?
I have powers plates. First, they're the first plates I ever got. I still have those, and I use those, and have them mounted on a Bailey 10-ton press.
That's awesome. Powers plates
primitive.
for people who don't know are an actual hash maker grower, everything like that, not just one of these companies that are coming in trying to make money off of us. They're one of us, so it's awesome for you for supporting them.
Yes, sir.
Um, do you have any sort of, some people get funny with their presses where they like to press at real high or real low temperatures, or do you get any of that? Do you wrap with stainless steel? Do you wash your press bags before you fucking press them, or
Yeah, I saw people after they got fucking scared from going to Ego Clash. I saw them like using a lint roller on their bags. And they're like, "Look, there's a fiber." And I was like, "You definitely have an adhesive all over your bags now, bro." But
definitely. The other thing with that is like they have to dry those fucking bags, and I know one of the videos that I saw from Eagle Clash was somebody pointing at a jar, and they had a video close of it, and they're like, "Oh, like you can see this little thing right there." And as they were filming, a fucking fiber or something like fell off of them into the fucking jar, and they're like, "New one
dude,
just showed up right there. Like this just happened." Like it's like, yeah, if you set your fucking bags out to dry, they're just gonna get dust and fiber before shit on them. Like fucking crazy.
yeah. So we definitely, you definitely need to make sure that you're not getting schmeckles all in your hash, obviously. Don't get me wrong. We definitely do the fucking quality control. And, but with pressing, like, each strain is pretty different. So that's, a lot of people want to have these like standards. And I'm just like, dude, that's just, it's just silly. You're going to definitely press different strains differently. I have like, plenty of more stable strains that can take a lot more heat and like actually probably just like come out better. But with those really volatile, greasy, melty strains, you definitely don't, you can press them a little too hot, I think. So I think it's good to just, I think the goal is to try to press it as low of a temperature as you can with all things considered, yield considered and everything. Like I'm down to have a little less yield if the hash is better, but if it's not, then who the fuck cares? Why the fuck would I do that? So I think like that's something that I've found, to like today I was pressing a couple things at like 155 degrees and then I was pressing a couple things at 173 degrees. So
I like that 173. I'm funny with numbers. I usually go 178 or 180 actually.
yeah,
Now in my like real on my greasier stuff, I'll go 170. I just had too many experiences where like back I think when I was doing a lot more R&D where I'd go low and just wouldn't be happy with the yield and didn't see like a decrease in quality when I went up in temp until I hit like, once you start going above 180, you might start seeing some stuff, but
exactly. Exactly. I think I would cool it around 180. I think that's when people should be. I mean, but like, that strain could be very stable and need that heat to press well, so
yep.
it all depends.
I remember one of the first like things that I was really blown away with quality wise with a brand that like I just found that wasn't presented to me was Superior Solventless out in 2018, I think out in Michigan. Um, and those dudes they were just about to start transitioning onto the med or rec market. They're a traditional market company before that.
Mhm.
Um, Sorry to say the quality did go down a little bit after
Yeah,
that, but
that can
previous to
happen.
that, yeah, man, I had some fucking insane things from them, and they were pressing their stuff at like 2:30.
Dude, yeah, I mean, well, I guess it's like, okay, like the exposure time on the plate matters a lot, right? Obviously. So, and it's like another goal is to get the hash off the plates, right? So I think like it can be done in different ways, especially like I feel like the hotter it is, the faster you can get it off the plates. And that's definitely something to consider. And I think certain strains are going to appreciate lower temps than higher. And I think the vice versa for some other ones are going to be like a straw nano or something like that. That's like pretty stable resin. If I didn't press that at like 170 something, I would probably get a way less yield. And like you said, like I don't even think the quality would be different at all. So yeah, always learning with that, I guess, because you're always growing different shit.
Yeah, 710 is the one that blows me away with how much production they do, and they do like 10, 15 gram fucking squishes.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Uh, I seen some people using 5 micron bags to press with, and it was like for a fresh press entry. And I guess the idea behind it was that it did not nucleate. Obviously there's strains that just don't nucleate like, fast. So, but that was what they told me, is that they used a 5 micron screen. I use a 25. So,
I use a 25. From my understanding, once you start going to 15 or 5, that can actually trap some stuff that you want flowing through.
oh, it's trapping a lot. You're definitely not getting that much out of it.
Yeah, I think it can hold back like a higher percentage of either flavonoids or thiols,
Okay.
which could,
Interesting.
yeah, that could be some fucking wook science, but
No, I feel you. It's probably I mean, it kind of makes sense, but that was what Trichome tortoise entered fresh press into the smoking jacket or whatever, and I was just like, the shit, like, just that was like his claim, is like it's like that because of that. But there's a lot of people that make a lot of claims. There's a
yeah,
lot of claims and not that many side by sides. You know what I mean? So
yes, R&D is fucking lacking, but claims are high for sure.
claims are high for sure.
Let's see. On the pressing side, right? One thing that I like to ask is, do you directional flower all sides? And then also, do you waterfall, or do you keep it enclosed in the parchment as it's flowing out?
I do directional flow off the front of the 4x8 that I press on. And I fold. I have like a fold that kind of creates like this like catch for it all. So I don't. It just sits there and fills up. Like the bottom kind of just fills up, but you can see like it kind of waterfall down into that area.
Cool, cool. So not like dripping down onto the stuff way down there. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
And then let's see some post processing thoughts. I know you've released plenty of really good looking jams, and you're not afraid to jam some jars. I think you got a season where you went pretty heavy on them.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so tell us a little bit about your thoughts on post processing and also in releasing in fresh press.
I think that with the intent to make something better, all these different things are really fun to fuck around with. And I think people that have a bad taste in their mouth from jams got some fucking, people are jamming stuff just to be able to sell it or whatever, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
some dry fourth wash that they wanted to jam up.
yeah, or just like some shit on their menus that's not even selling, and they're just like, "Oh, look, it's jam now." You know what I mean? It's like, so it just depends on the like intent behind it, and I think that's the difference between most things for people, obviously. But with jam, it was something that I got into like pretty much right away in like 2000, like 18 or 19. I bought like a jar of pie dough from Mega Raw Melts and jammed it, and it was like faceted fucking BHO. And I was just like, what the fuck, dude? I did it in like my grandma's fucking oven in her kitchen, bro.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. And the flavor compared to the cold cure was legit, in my opinion, better. So I was kind of blown away, and I did it again and I decarbed it. So I was like, all right. So I think it's like, obviously it takes a lot of dialing in. Since then, fast forward fucking years and years, I can jam, whatever strain it is, with pretty much 100% success. But I think finding out like what strain is better or has different flavors as jam is what is cool to me. I think once I realize it's like not different from really, or not as good, I'm like, all right, I don't really give a fuck anymore. It's not fun. So it was fun to go through all the different strains and see how they jam, and see which ones were enhanced or changed or altered, and experiencing them in different ways and all that. And I think my opinion of jam is that it can be, I think, maybe when it's done really really well, the best. A lot of people would definitely disagree with me on that, but that's just my thoughts on it. I think When it's done really well, I've seen it win competitions by a long shot. And people hate on that. People look for that shit to knock it. And I've still seen it smoke people. So that's pretty cool. I like it. And like as far as fresh press goes, I think fresh press is cool and all. I just only smoke it when I press. I never really end up like jarring fresh press up much for myself. But when I'm pressing and collecting, I take a fucking half a gram of each flavor and fucking, smoke
Yeah.
on it. So I like it. I think some strains it might be better than cold cure as a fresh press for sure. I see that. I see why people want to do only fresh press. I get it. I fucking salute them. I would never do that ever, but good for them. It's fucking awesome. And the people that can appreciate fresh press get to see it as fresh press and then see it nucleate and see it as a cold cure and like yeah. So I'm pretty much just support all good hash, dude.
I think I feel a little bit about fresh press, like how some people do about melt, and that like if it's really good melt, it's gonna be really good rosin.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've never had something that I've been really impressed with fucking in fresh press and then have it cure out and be like, what's this dog shit?
Right.
you know?
Right. For
Like
sure. For
it's
sure.
hard for something to express well in fresh press. So it's like
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
and then last before we do a dab and just talk about the culture cup a little bit and stuff, either from this past season that we just finished up and did everything with, or your next upcoming season, what are the strains, cultivars, stuff like that you're working with that you're most fucking excited about or happiest with?
So you know this very well, but growers are always just fixated on like the future new stuff, obviously. With us, we have like a year with our inventory. So there I'm always stewing about next year. But I would say a strain that surprised me that might be my favorite of the year would be the headbanger. I've grown that before outside a few times, and this year it came out special. It's fucking good. I really, really like it. It's also nice to have that kind of high in the repertoire of jars right now. Sour diesel biker kush comes with a punch, so I'm really stoked on that. It flips really early and it's done before October. It's like sour leaning. It's fucking crazy. It's like definitely a fucking legendary plant for what it does.
Sounds very fucking East Coast. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude, for sure. The BPPZ I think is probably my overall favorite like strain. I think right now that we have, I think that one is really fucking good. And the candied oranges I really fucking like this year a lot. That was our first time growing it. Really fucking cool. Super staining, strong orange flavor. It's not like mimosa at all, which is dope. It kind of is, but it's not. It's just definitely more of a candied kind of version, which is what you'd expect, I guess, with the fucking name. But
They've been bringing out some orange stuff that's way better than the old dropping mimosas for fucking sure.
yeah, yeah. So those are probably my three like most smoked jars, like the ones I've gone back to the most. I think Z Cube, Papaya, and Berry Fizz are our number one sellers. Like, I totally see why they came out good. They're popular because people like them. You know what I mean? That's how Papaya and Z is, I guess. Berry Fizz is a cool one with the bright red berry, and I've been mixing the straw grease willy and berry fizz, and that's probably overall one of the biggest sellers is that mix. It's called pomegranate.
Fire. Strawberry Willie mixes really well with a lot of things. If you ever go 50-50 with papaya, it's fucking fire.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. I really fucking like that one a lot, and like the people that like really like it are like it has that effect where like people get obsessive with it. Like they're like, whoa, very, very fixated on the fact that it has actual strawberry terps, because that's not actually very well represented currently. So
La Straw Nana is fucking Nana, not straw.
straw guava, straw nana, papaya, like nothing actually really strawberry. Like strawberry cough don't wash. It's like the strawberry diesel. I haven't seen anyone really with crosses of that or that washing. You know, so
Yep. So marijuana talk or I don't know how to say that dude's name. He's a
yeah.
he's a Brooklyn I think he's Brooklyn, but he's a New York City dude. He's down there, he works with Santa Hash.
Okay, cool.
So those guys just hunted some of the straw grease to Crystal Rose's Great Pie Wedding Crasher that I put together, which was the Uncle Willie's juice from a round or two ago of breeding. And they found one that washes that says it's like strawberry field strawberry terps.
That's fucking dank.
Yeah, I've been super
I
happy
got
with it.
those beans, so I gotta pop them.
Yeah, they're fucking good. They're fucking good. I'm happy about them.
Dude,
Okay, so coming back from some dabs, what'd you hit, homie?
I actually went in on the headbanger.
And that's some cold cure.
It is, yeah. Some cold cure, full spec, or 70 through 149.
Well, that's I do tend to keep premium for myself. I know some people are good where they like sell most of their premium and smoke a lot of their food grade and shit. But I'm like,
No, that ain't why I do this shit.
no, I'm doing it for me. Um, So yeah, let's actually start there. So before we get into a little bit more the personal and the culture cup and stuff like that, one thing is so like me personally, I just do everything for me. I'm trying to create the rosin that I fucking want. I hope other people like it, but if they don't, I'd still just be trying to do that. Like
Yeah,
how much do you take into consideration, because you are a company, you are putting stuff out there, you do have to deal with a very fucking competitive market up there in Maine. Like, how much of end user taste and opinion do you take into your spectrum when like this is what I'm fucking doing next?
100% of it goes towards that, man. It sucks, but it
Yeah.
does. That's what we're doing. We're caregivers. We're here. We got fucking business attached to the lifestyle now, and I mean, as much as it's like it doesn't really suck. It's actually like amazing, and I'm super grateful for it. It does though limit like the creativity that you could potentially have, and I think what I've learned is that you need to still have an outlet for that, and that can be as small as a fucking tent. And I'm happy, like literally, like the grower is happy, like the grower inside of me, if I want to like do like just the freedom to be able to be like, I can do a breeding project, I could pop a pack of seeds, I could try a whole new soil mix, I could, try new clones. Like at any time, I can do all those things right now, and they would have no like impact on hidden forest because it would be me, Hunter, personally doing it. So that's what I do. Is like we have little personal gardens. Like I have a 4 lighter. We try different shit in all the time. And that kind of gives me that creative outlet. But as far as considering what the market wants and what sells, that's the first lens that we actually put through any of our products. So we always have to make decisions based on what's sold the best.
Yeah,
Uh,
completely. It's a fucking business, bro, for sure.
Right. So, I'm super grateful for some of these clone onlys that some people are like, I'm not going to grow that. That's not my thing. Like the papayas, the Skittles, like, all that stuff. I like need to grow some of it. Like, I need honeybee and papaya and that shit. People are like, that's my favorite one. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, fuck yeah, dude. You know what I mean? And so I always grow first and foremost. We like decide what sold the best, which is essentially taking care of the marketplace, and then what are we excited to bring in that's new that we think is in comparison to the stuff that's selling really well, like which of that stuff is like as good, and that's what we would bring in. So it's a little bit of bringing in new stuff to that's also for the market because they want new shit all the time too. So um, but yeah, definitely have to go through that lens as a business here. You know what I mean?
Yep. So speaking of it as being a business, so this podcast is intended to highlight a little bit more of the East Coast, also intended to highlight a little bit more of the people that just kind of keep the spirit of what I hope I find and see in the business side of things, as you know,
Oh yeah.
all this does turn to businesses. So you start off down here in PA, and
Mhm.
I'm guessing, you know, nobody moves up and starts their own farm up in fucking Maine because because they didn't smoke weed before or do some things and stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So so do you just want to talk a little bit about like first going up to Maine and just kind of what like that initial thing was, or just kind of
Yeah.
anything about that little journey, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So my personal journey was similar to everyone else on my, on the team here's journey, but we're all just very passionate cannabis consumers. So that's like where it all begins for us. I was just kind of in the pursuit of the best weed I could find and all that, like everyone else who's doing that kind of similar thing was, and ended up being like, well, obviously, Maine is a big is in the conversation of like, some of the dankest shit. So I was like, sick, that's on the East Coast, I'm gonna go up there. I also had my uncle and my grandparents have like a house up here, so I was somewhat familiar with Maine, and I would come up and I would help and support other brands up here, you know so I'd work and help harvest, and try to gain exposure to the industry that I kind of was like super interested in, just because it was like totally what I was wrapped up in and all I wanted to do with my life. So I was like, this is so cool that you can actually like at the time my homie's like, he has kids, he has a legal business, he's not going to jail, and he's growing weed. And I was like, damn, this is fucking sick. Like I could actually do this for my life. So that's kind of like we're just like sick. I got arrested in Pennsylvania, and I was like, I can't get arrested again. You know what I mean? This isn't safe for me to be like consuming cannabis when like I got arrested because they said I was high driving and searched me and shit. You know what I mean? It's like just it's a fucked place to live. So I was like, I just had to get out of there, and so we decided to try our hand at growing some weed outside.
Yeah, that's it. Feels so nice working up in New York, in the legal markets, and just with it also being like people that I respect, people that I like working with, and
Yeah.
everything. Because that's, you know, the PA jobs are just absolutely trash if you want to go with one of the MSOs
Yeah,
down here.
dude. Terrible, bro. Terrible. So, and it's just, I fucking love Pennsylvania. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm always going back to Pennsylvania to visit my family and friends, and I still call it home and stuff because it was my home longer than here. You know what I mean? So, I've been here for 8 years, but Pennsylvania is like, I'm definitely still very deeply rooted in PA, but my life as far as like anxiety and shit was on a whole nother level there versus living in the woods in Maine. So I'm like super happy to be up here, and like I can go to this, like I go to the supermarket and the local co-op, and they're like, yeah, that's the dude that has the weed farm, he's super nice. You know what I mean? Like like no one's like, what a fucking loser criminal. You know what I mean? So it's just such a big difference to be just like accepted in the culture around here. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's still a trip. It's getting pulled over here, bro. Like I got like filled with plants and shit. Like I'm sitting there sweating, and the cop didn't even want to see if I had a med card, dude. He didn't even give a shit at all.
Yeah,
And I was just like, what the fuck? This is such a trip. So very grateful to be up here, man. It's such an opportunity, honestly, to be an active caregiver here. It's definitely becoming harder, but it's still super doable.
for sure, man. That, down here, if I fucking did dab too far or too close before I left, and I get pulled over, I have fucking anxiety, you know.
Dude,
Um,
yeah, it's
let
hard.
alone if I had fucking active plants in the car or something.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah, yeah. You definitely know
Yeah.
if anyone does.
So let's see. And then, so I don't know if you know this. I've only done two contests. I've only entered two contests in my life. I did a hash bash out in like 2022 or 2023 in Michigan, and then Culture Cup. mainly because I judged a couple different ones, and I had a bunch of people that were involved in different ones, and I got to see them, and they all just seemed like such fucking either like circle jerks or weird like intention for certain people to win, and just like none of it seemed on the up and up for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
like I none of them made me want to go give them hash and money to rate my fucking hash for me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, dude, totally. I feel you. I feel you.
so the Culture Cup is fucking amazing. Super happy to be a part of it, and it's just hash makers judging other hash makers. You don't see any of like you're just looking for good hash makers. Like when you hit me up look to see if I knew people down in the tri-state, you weren't like who's popular down there or something. You're just like, who do you know that makes real good fucking hash, you know?
Yeah, it's for the person that's not popular. That's like the whole goal is like to put people that aren't popular with people that are and see if their shit's fucking good or not because that's interesting to me, you know?
Yeah. Because when you first start out, you realize like you'll do your first batch and be like, shit, this is just as good as my favorite fucking brand.
Dude, yeah, that's all some kid needs to know or find out to realize and be super invigorated and do some cool shit for the space and like push hash forward, you know? That's really the coolest part about these hash competitions is the feedback you get from so many different people and then comparing it to your own opinion and then like trying to work to be better, you know, in some aspect, whether it's like popping different kinds of seeds or like moving in a different direction. Definitely it's just like a bunch of time with actual peers is always good, you know? And I think we all want that and shit, but the biggest thing that I saw was like obviously like there needs to be like trust in the competition, right? So that everyone is comfortable and wants to put their best up, or it's like, why the fuck would I do this? You know what I mean? I don't like look who's running it, or like these dudes don't even grow or make hash, or that dude's like I know that dude's a scumbag specifically in some cases. Like it's like horrible. So it's like more I just saw it as like a competitor needs to run it and they need to not like involve themselves like the least amount of possible. You know what I mean? Like they really just need someone needs to just host it and essentially needs to be self-governed and self-developed, you know what I mean, like open forum kind of style I think is like the best way to do it. So we just tried to do that and then I that was like just an idea and then we went to the King of Z Hill competition, which was like an anti-style competition, and I liked that style, so that's why we adopted that.
Cool. Um, so I might have just been super fucking high, but did you have some kind of private stuff going on at the barn that was like a early Culture Cup thing?
Yeah, I did. We've had so Culture Cup was just like a no social media cup, actual private event because it was like limited space, you know what I mean? It's like if there's fucking 20 people in like rosin and like 20 people in melt and they all got a plus one that's like fucking 80 people, you know? So we were kind of like don't post it, if you do, you can't come. Don't tell anyone about it. Don't tell anyone that you're invited. Just show up on this date with a dish, you know what I mean? And like, don't bring some whack ass fucking food. And that was basically it. And then we just did like a traditional style, like Ego Clash style, just pass the jars out and shit. And we did that with just people from Maine for like 2 or 3 times. And then we did the one at Stonehead. Not this past one, but the last one. That was the first one that was kind of like nationwide.
Yep. Yeah, I really enjoyed both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way you set it up was really cool. It again seemed like the kind of anti-exploitative, make as much money as we can off of the sponsors, off of the people, off of everything. It seemed like just about creating a really good event.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that was super fucking nice. And going forward, do you plan on keeping this going? And And then
Yeah, we're about to be releasing the dates here soon for both the qualifier and the main event. So we're just at the last stages of like solidifying the dates for the musician. It's a pretty epic name in the reggae scene, so it should be pretty fucking cool to have this person come all the way out here. And I think this year, we're going to be trying to have it at Stonehenge, where we had it that first year that you were there. Because that's where they're doing the reggae shows and shit. So we're gonna do a very similar thing to as last year. I'm not really gonna switch things up. That's kind of how things get all fucky. So
yeah, it's
um,
working great, right?
yeah, I mean, I just view it as a competitor. It's like this person can have the gathering because of the competitors' names. And it's like if we're the draw and we're donating hash into this, competition, and then also like it's not a fee because it's like the ante and none of that funds anything at the Culture Cup, but a lot of cups you are just paying money, you know what I mean, on top of it. So that's like really should just be having free shit for the fucking for the competitors, like, and I also think that there's a bunch of people that want a cup to happen, so it shouldn't be that hard to like gather like grassroots style like small sponsors, like $250 sponsors, you know what I mean, stuff like that. A lot of different people will kind of contribute, and that's why the Culture Cup's honestly cool, because it's put together by the community, so they all show up and everyone has fun.
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. There was like barbecue and fucking oysters, and I'm like, I quit drinking like 14 years ago or something like that. I still love a fucking fancy beverage. So there's mocktails there, like,
Yeah.
and that was just for the people. Well, most of that was free and fucking really cool. Um,
Hell yeah.
so all right, man. Let's see. Is there anything fucking else? I'm nice and high and toasty. So, is
Yeah,
there?
me
Sorry.
too.
All right. So is there anything else you would like to fucking say to the people before we wrap up here?
We have started our Farmstead Homestead LLC and Instagram page, Hidden Forest Homestead, and definitely like gives a little broader picture of us over here in our team, because there's four of us, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different projects with animals and vegetable production and honey. And we have our farm stand at the end of the road that we'll be starting up, which will also have hash available. So we'll have like a veggie farm stand with fucking hash, dude. And I'm stoked, and I want everyone to try to follow along and follow that journey, because that could be the start of our dispensary.
That's fucking awesome. It
Yeah.
reminds me of like Uncle Fungus down here, but with mushrooms instead of hash. And just
Yeah.
like, just so everyone knows, I mean, just regular ass. The dude grows all sorts of edible mushrooms. He's a real good cook and stuff. Do you follow that dude, Uncle Fungus?
Yeah, I do. I do.
He's a cool
He
guy
is.
down
He's
here. All right,
badass.
Hunter. Well, I fucking really appreciate you being on the podcast. I really appreciate you putting together the Culture Cup, man. And thank you very much.
Yeah, dude. Appreciate you having me on here to chat. Take
All right,
care.
man. Thanks.